Even if they make money online and their primary clientele is located in a different country, the majority of people are unaware that there are low-tax nations and simply accept the tax system that their own country imposes on them. While some people acknowledge the existence of tax havens and hidden gems, they contend that high tax rates are essential for achieving a particular standard of living. There are over 160 countries outside of the West, many of which are highly developed nations like Georgia, Costa Rica, Panama, and Singapore. There are also several low-tax countries with cities that rate highly on indices for quality of life and the happiness of their residents. Western nations with high tax rates do not possess a monopoly on progress, well-being, or contentment. In actuality, they may have the opposite effect. We have taken the liberty of referring to nations with the highest tax rates as tax hazards because low-tax nations are frequently referred to as tax havens. We are here to steer you away from tax hazards because you could live, work, or intend to relocate there. In today's video, we will talk about the 15 countries with the highest tax rates to live. Number 15. Ireland. When it comes to general friendliness and service excellence, Ireland is the finest country. According to GDP per capita, Ireland is among the richest nations in the world and among the richest in the European Union. It's among the best illustrations of how progress and expansion were still feasible in the wake of the 2008 financial crisis. Aside from diligence and the inventive nature of the Irish people, one reason for that was the comparatively low rate of corporate income tax. Google and Apple made use of these comparatively low rates. However, Irish individuals are not as fortunate and are subject to marginal income tax rates as high as 40%. Even though its tax rate isn't the highest in Europe, it is still high enough to be on this list. Gains, earnings, and properties are all subject to taxes on income. Irish tax is levied on an individual's worldwide total income, regardless of where they live or work. Income tax is levied progressively, with poor incomes paying little to no tax and middle-class and upper-class workers paying a high rate. Number 14. Luxembourg. Luxembourg has a lot of taxes for such a small nation. Nestled between Belgium, Germany, and France, the tiny EU member state known officially as the Grand Duchy of Luxembourg. The nation is usually recognized for being a safe, rational nation with a stable economy, stable government, and stable banking system. It is not particularly well known for anything. It has, incidentally, one of the best passports in the world, just like Portugal and Ireland. Regretfully, it also has one of the highest income tax bands in the world, with a progressive system that levies a 42% personal income tax on the wealthiest citizens. Number 13. France. France, the fourth most populous nation in Europe, is a major player in the world economy, a member of the G7, and has the second largest purchasing power parity of any EU member. Nonetheless, the nation boasts some of the highest tax rates globally. People in France are subject to a staggering top marginal rate of 45%. To put this in perspective, one of the richest nations in the world is Monaco, a low-tax nation on the French Riviera that does not impose income taxes. Undoubtedly, one of the main reasons the French make up about 25% of Monaco's population is the island nation's low tax rates. Number 12. Germany. Germany, the economic powerhouse of Europe, has some of the highest taxes in the world, despite having one of the strongest economies globally. Even yet, aren't high taxes a necessary cost of success? Not precisely. Though the German government is remarkably inefficient, anyone who has ever dealt with its bureaucracy will attest to the country's reputation for punctuality. German bureaucracy is, in actuality, the epitome of big government, and big government is expensive to run. Frequently, Poland and Austria are included in the group of nations known as Central European countries, which includes Germany. As you can see, A large number of the nations on this list are thought to be more prudent and frugal than their counterparts in the southern Mediterranean. Nevertheless, these nations maintain substantial social services programs that are funded by significant taxes, in spite of their reputation for being frugal. For example, Germany has a progressive tax structure where the highest earnings pay 45% personal income tax. Number 11, Japan. In terms of nominal GDP, Japan has the third largest national economy in the world, behind China and the United States. After the US, China, and India, it has the fourth largest national economy in the world in terms of purchasing power parity. All of this is really remarkable considering that the nation only has the 11th largest population in the globe. Many believe that Japan's renowned work ethic is the reason for their success. Japan is the only Asian nation among high-tax nations with a top marginal tax rate of 45%. Its capital has more millionaires than any other metropolis on the planet. Because Japanese companies are the best in Asia at manufacturing cars and other high-tech products, the government has a lot of money to tax. Furthermore, it is among the select few nations whose global popularity can be equated with that of Western cultures. Number 10. Portugal. Portugal's economy is prosperous, with a GDP of about $250,000, placing it close to the top of the global economic rankings at number 50. Portugal employs taxation as a tool to promote economic parity between the nation's high and low-income earners. All individuals in the labor force are subject to a progressive income tax on employment income. Numerous tax benefits, such as a general deduction, medical costs, life and health insurance, and educational costs, are eligible to be deducted from taxes. Number 9. The Netherlands. The Netherlands has a developed economy and has long been one of the wealthiest nations in the world. It has also been a key player in the European economy for centuries. It was one of the first members of what would eventually become the European Union in more recent decades. With the largest port in Europe, Rotterdam, and a strategic location in the center of Western Europe, the Netherlands boasts the 17th largest economy in the world, with excellent access to markets in Germany and the UK. The income tax rate in this trading hub, which is also one of the most inhabited areas on Earth, is 49.5% on any income over €75,000. Number 8. Slovenia. Slovenia, despite its tiny size, levies a progressive income tax on its residents, with the highest rate reaching 50%. The intersection of the Germanic, Latin, and Slavic cultures is Slovenia. Slovenia is one of the smallest countries in the European Union, with only 2.12 million people living there. Despite being one of the many former USSR nations to join the EU, it has the highest tax rates compared to other former communist nations. Despite this, Slovenia has a sophisticated economy and, when compared to other regional powers like Poland and Russia, is the richest Slavic nation in terms of nominal GDP per capita. Number 7. Belgium. Belgium's transportation network is integrated with the rest of Europe despite its highly globalized economy. Its position at the center of a heavily industrialized region contributed to its ranking as the 8th largest trade nation in the world. Everything about that sounds wonderful, but then you realize that the nation also levies one of the highest personal income tax rates in all of Europe. People frequently voice complaints about taxes. The complainants usually exaggerate, with the exception of those who are Belgian. This is due to the fact that the Belgian government actually collects taxes at an absurdly high rate from the wages of its inhabitants. At the moment, if your income exceeds €48,000, you will pay 50% tax. And if you think that's absurd, keep in mind that this is a positive development because, up until recently, that number might have reached as high as 54%. Number 6. Aruba. Aruba is a well-liked island getaway location and one of the most stunning Caribbean islands. If you take away a few minor crimes, the island is also among the safest in the Caribbean. That being said, with the government imposing a whopping 52% personal income tax rate, what good is a little pickpocketing? Although it has decreased recently, does it mean the tax rate is now better? Not to us, that is. The idea that people give the government more than half of their hard-earned money in taxes is incomprehensible to us. Number 5. Sweden. The economy of Sweden is the 23rd largest in the world. It boasts one of the greatest standards of living and longest life expectancies in the world, along with extremely low levels of income disparity. With an advanced welfare state and a sophisticated post-industrial society, Sweden has one of the highest personal income tax rates in the world, with up to 52.3% of yearly income being withheld. That is still better than the 61% rate from 1996. Sweden has a system of taxes on wages that combines social security contributions, which are paid by the employer, with income tax, which is paid by the employee. Residential property transactions are not subject to taxes in Sweden, despite the country's high taxation of its citizens. Number 4. Denmark. Denmark boasts a robust economy, ranking 9th globally in nominal GDP per capita and 6th globally in GDP per capita. In order to satisfy the needs of its tiny population, the Danish government levied a total personal income tax rate of up to 53% in total taxes on the highest earners. The Danish welfare state is one of those needs. It is predicated, among other things, on the idea that all citizens ought to have equal access to the many services that are funded by taxes. Many see this as an explanation for its high tax rates, which also enable the Danish people to have more access to social programs. This could help to explain why Danes are thought to be among the happiest people in the world. It could also have to do with their adoption of the hygge idea, which highlights times that are warm, inviting, or memorable, whether spent at home or away with friends. Number 3. Austria. While there aren't many German-speaking nations in the world, those that do exist are almost all quite developed, and Austria is no different. It also requires that the people who make more than 1 million euros pay for that privilege, with the highest marginal tax rate being 55%. In addition to the high income tax rate, other taxes include an 18% social security rate, a 6% bonus payment rate, and a 27.5% capital gains tax. Austria boasts a high level of living, a well-developed social market economy, and ranks 15th in the world in terms of GDP per capita. However, you need to consider the expense. Other nations with far lower tax rates offer a lot of what Austria has to offer in terms of living standards. So, although a trip to Austria could be enjoyable, don't intend to settle there for business purposes. Number 2. Finland. Finland has the second highest tax rate worldwide and the highest tax rate in Europe. With a top income rate of 44%, this tiny country of only 5.5 million inhabitants has such high rates that it ranks close to the top of this list of countries with the highest taxes. But Finland also levies other taxes, such as a church tax of up to 2.25% and local municipal taxes of up to 10.8%. Among the highest capital gains taxes is also found in Finland. Those who arrive in Finland and stay for more than 6 months are considered residents by the tax administrator, and their worldwide income is liable to Finnish tax regardless of where they are from. This is an intriguing fact. Number 1. Ivory Coast. Ivory Coast, a long struggling nation in West Africa, has the highest income tax rate worldwide. There, residents give the government an astounding 60% of their earnings. That is not necessary to be the case. Although it's a frontier market with a distinct demographic, we fail to see why anyone would choose to live in such poverty and give their government the majority of their earnings. This brings us to the end of this video. If you liked the video, please consider subscribing and sharing so we can keep bringing more content like this. Also, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. See you next time.